Painful Victory. Writer, Lista Austin. Episode 1. Blessing sat quietly in the small living room of their modest home, nervously picking at her fingernails. The air was tense, and the only sound was the low hum of the ceiling fan. Her 6-month pregnant belly rested gently in her lap, and she absent-mindedly rubbed it, feeling a light kick from within. Felix, her husband, burst through the door, his face twisted with anger. He barely glanced at her as he threw his bag onto the couch. "What kind of food is this?" he snapped, pointing at the plate of rice and beans on the dining table. "Can't you cook anything better?" Just then, the door opened again. Blessing flinched at his harsh tone. "I'm sorry, Felix," she whispered, her voice trembling. "This is all we had left. I'll go to the market tomorrow and buy something else." Felix scoffed and shook his head. "You're a useless woman," he spat, his eyes blazing with fury. "You can't even give me a male child. What good are you?" Tears welled up in Blessing's eyes, but she quickly blinked them away. She had heard these words so many times before, but they still cut deep. They had a daughter, Favor, who was only 3 years old. Felix had been disappointed from the day she was born, convinced that a son would have brought him more pride and honor. "I'm trying," Blessing stammered. "The doctor said we can't choose the baby's gender." "Please, Felix, don't be angry." But Felix wasn't listening. He marched over to her, grabbing her arm roughly. "Trying? You're not trying hard enough," he shouted, his voice echoing in the small room. Without warning, he pushed her to the floor, kicking her stomach. Blessing screamed in pain, clutching her belly as she curled up into a ball. "Please, Felix, my tummy hurts," she cried out, her voice cracking with pain. "Please, don't beat me." Felix's eyes were cold and distant. "Maybe this will teach you to be a better wife," he sneered, landing another kick before storming out of the house. Blessing lay on the floor, gasping for breath. She felt a sharp pain in her abdomen and realized she was bleeding. Panic set in, and she struggled to sit up, wincing as she did. She needed to get help, but she was too scared to move. And Grace, Blessing's friend, rushed in. "Oh my God, Blessing!" she exclaimed, running to her side. "What happened? Are you okay?" Blessing shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Felix, he got angry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "He kicked me." Grace's face hardened with anger. "That man is a monster," she hissed. "You need to leave him, Blessing. This isn't safe for you or the baby." Blessing looked away, ashamed. She knew Grace was right, but the thought of leaving Felix terrified her. "I can't," she muttered. "Where would I go? What about Favor?" Grace sighed and gently helped Blessing to her feet. "You can stay with me for a while," she offered. "We'll figure something out. You and your daughter deserve better than this." Blessing hesitated, torn between fear and the hope of a better life. She had always believed that things would get better, that Felix would change. But with each passing day, it seemed less and less likely. As Grace helped her to the couch, Blessing glanced at the door, half expecting Felix to burst back in. But he didn't. She was alone, left to pick up the pieces of her shattered life. For the first time, she considered the possibility that leaving might be the best option. Grace handed her a glass of water and sat down beside her. "Listen, Blessing," she said softly. "I know you're scared, but you can't keep living like this. You have to think about your safety and your children's future. You need to get out before it's too late." Blessing looked down at her swollen belly, feeling the gentle movements of her unborn child. She thought of Favor, sleeping peacefully in the next room, unaware of the chaos around her. Maybe Grace was right. Maybe it was time to leave. I don't know," Blessing whispered, her voice shaking. "I'm scared." Grace reached out and took her hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "You're stronger than you think," she said. "And you're not alone. I'll help you, and we'll find a way. But you have to make the choice." Blessing nodded slowly, feeling a mix of fear and determination. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but staying with Felix was no longer an option. For the sake of her children and herself, she had to leave. She had to find the strength to start a new life, free from the pain and abuse.